It is a dusty, heated afternoon in Judea, and Simon Peter thinks he is about to impress the Master. He steps forward, puffing out his chest with righteous generosity, and asks a question that still echoes across the centuries. "Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother when he sins against me? Up to 7 times?" In the first century Jewish world, Peter is not being stingy. He is being wildly, extraordinarily magnanimous. The religious scribes of the day taught that forgiving someone 3 times was the absolute limit of human mercy. By offering 7, the sacred biblical number of perfection and divine completeness, Peter believes he is demonstrating the pinnacle of spiritual maturity. He expects commendation. Instead, Jesus looks at him and delivers an answer that completely shatters Peter's moral equation. "I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. For 2,000 years, modern readers have treated this moment as a simple lesson in exaggeration. We assume Jesus is just doing spiritual math, telling us to pick up a calculator and count to 490 before we finally get permission to retaliate. But Jesus is not doing math, and he is certainly not teaching hyperbole. When Jesus uttered those exact numbers, he was pulling a dark, ancient trigger. He was quoting a hidden, blood-soaked code from the book of Genesis, a chilling secret that would have made every first-century Jew shudder to their very core. To understand the earthquake Jesus set off in that Judean dust, we have to strip away our modern Western sensibilities about justice and step back into the brutal reality of the ancient Near East. In the ancient world, justice was not administered by impersonal courts or gavels. It was tribal, it was deeply personal, and above all, it was bloody. If someone stole your livestock, you didn't call the authorities. You burned down their farm. If a man broke your brother's arm in a fight, your clan didn't just sue for damages, you wiped out his entire family line. This ancient reflex of disproportionate vengeance is why the Old Testament instituted the famous law of lex talionis, the principle of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Modern readers often view that command as primitive and barbaric, but in its original historical context, it was an unprecedented act of profound mercy. It was a divine restraint. God was declaring the punishment must fit the crime, and it must stop there. No more endless cycles of escalating tribal bloodshed. Yet long before that merciful restraint of the law was ever codified at Sinai, a darker, much more sinister philosophy of justice had infected human history. And to find it, we must scroll all the way back to the 4th chapter of Genesis. After the fall, Scripture tracks the lineage of Cain, the first murderer. Within just 5 generations, we arrive at a man named Lamech. Lamech represents the absolute nadir of human corruption before the flood. He is the first recorded polygamist in the Bible, taking 2 wives, Ada and Zillah. But more disturbing than his domestic rebellion is his dark cultural legacy. Lamech is the author of the first recorded poem in human history, a terrifying piece of literature scholars call the Song of the Sword. In Genesis chapter 4, verses 23 and 24, Lamech stands before his wives, flexing his newfound weapons of forged bronze and iron, and boasts, "Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. Ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 70 and 7-fold. Here, our English translations bury a seismic linguistic treasure. When you examine the ancient Greek translation of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, which was the primary Bible used by Jesus and his disciples, the phrase translated as 70 and 7-fold, or 70 times 7, in Genesis 4:24 uses an exact, precise Greek compound phrase, ebdome kontakis hepta. This phrase appears nowhere else in the entire Old Testament. It is a unique, highly specific, numerical formula. It is the mathematical equation of unchecked, escalating narcissistic vengeance. Lamech was boldly declaring to the cosmos, "I do not need God's protection, and I will not be bound by equal justice. If you touch me, if you even bruise me, I will not take an eye for an eye. I will annihilate you. My retaliation will be limitless, exponential, and infinite." Lamech instituted a dark empire of revenge, a system where offenses are meticulously recorded, grudges are immortalized in song, and violence multiplies without end. That ethos of limitless retaliation became the heartbeat of human civilization. It is the toxic spirit that fuels our family feuds, our geopolitical wars, and our quiet personal grudges to this very day. Now, flash forward thousands of years. Stand back in that Judean courtyard with Simon Peter. When Peter suggests forgiving 7 times, he is operating within the realm of human goodness. But when Jesus looks at him and utters those exact chilling words, "Ebdome kontakis hepta," he is not pulling a random number out of thin air. He is reaching back across millennia, grabbing Lamech's ancient blood-soaked formula of infinite vengeance and utterly reversing it. Here is the foundation, our first major epiphany of this journey. Jesus is not teaching spiritual mathematics. He is announcing a cosmic regime change. He is declaring that the dark empire of Lamech is officially over. In Lamech's world, sin and revenge multiply exponentially without limit. But in the kingdom of Jesus Christ, grace, forgiveness, and mercy must multiply with that exact same, infinite, unstoppable velocity. Jesus took the ultimate code of human hatred and inverted it into the supreme law of divine love. If seeing how Jesus completely inverted Lamech's ancient code of vengeance is shifting the way you read Scripture, then you are part of the exact mission we are building here. Hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss what comes next. Share this video with someone who needs freedom from an old grudge, and comment "No more revenge" below to help others find this conversation. Let's keep going. When you trace this thread through the tapestry of Scripture, a sweeping, undeniable pattern emerges. You begin to realize that the entire Old Testament is not just a collection of random historical stories. It is a brutal, protracted war between 2 incompatible systems of life. Call it the Great Battle of 2 Empires, the Empire of Lamech versus the Kingdom of Grace. In the Empire of Lamech, every offense is a debt that must be collected in blood. You see this toxic virus spreading relentlessly through the generations. You see it when Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, are so consumed by Lamech's spirit of disproportionate revenge that they slaughter an entire city of men just to avenge an insult to their sister Dinah. You see it centuries later in King Saul, a ruler so poisoned by paranoia and petty grudges that he spends years hunting an innocent shepherd boy named David across the Judean wilderness, consuming his entire reign in a feverish quest for personal retaliation. In Lamech's system, mercy is weakness, forgiveness is surrender. The only law is escalation. But running parallel to that dark history, God was methodically planting seeds of Lamech's destruction. Whenever a biblical character steps out of the cycle of revenge, the trajectory of human history radically shifts. Look at Joseph. He was betrayed by his own flesh and blood, stripped of his coat, thrown into a pit, sold into Egyptian slavery, falsely accused of rape, and left to rot in a dungeon for years. If anyone in the ancient world had the moral right to Lamech's song of vengeance, it was Joseph. When famine finally drives his betrayers, his starving brothers, before his throne in Egypt, Joseph possesses absolute, unchecked global power. With a single nod of his head, he could have executed Lamech's equation. He could have demanded 77-fold blood vengeance. What does he do? He clears the room. He weeps so loudly that Pharaoh's household hears it. He steps down from his throne, embraces the men who destroyed his youth, and says, "Do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." Joseph breaks the cycle. He refuses to sing Lamech's song. Look at David in the cave of En-Gedi. King Saul is pursuing him with 3,000 elite warriors seeking to murder him. By pure divine providence, Saul wanders into the very dark cave where David and his men are hiding, completely unprotected. David's men whisper in the shadows, "This is the day the Lord spoke of. Take your revenge." In the architecture of Lamech, this is justified self-defense. This is squaring the ledger. But David only cuts off a corner of Saul's robe, and even then his heart strikes him with remorse. He steps out of the cave, bows his face to the earth, and spares the life of the man trying to kill him. Do you see the pattern building? Every time a hero of faith chooses mercy over vengeance, a fracture appears in the foundation of Lamech's world. Now snap these historical puzzle pieces together with one of the most mysterious prophecies in the entire Bible. In the 9th chapter of Daniel, the prophet is weeping over the captivity of Israel. He is desperate for God to forgive his people, to wipe away their national ledger of rebellion, and to restore the ruined holy city of Jerusalem. God dispatches the angel Gabriel with a staggering mathematical prophecy. Gabriel tells Daniel, 77s are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness. Listen to that phrase again, 77s. In Hebrew, shavuim shivim, it is the exact numerical counterpart to Lamech's ancient boast. Gabriel is revealing a divine countdown. God was setting a fixed, absolute deadline on the reign of human sin and retaliation. He was promising that when those 77s reached their culmination, God himself would step into the arena of human history to permanently dismantle Lamech's empire. He would finish transgression, he would make the final atonement, he would bring in everlasting righteousness. Now fast forward to a barren hill outside the gates of Jerusalem. It is Friday afternoon. The Roman sky is turning pitch black at midday. Here hangs Jesus of Nazareth, the true and better Joseph, the true and better David. He is stripped naked, beaten beyond human recognition, and nailed to coarse wood. Surrounding him are the scribes, the elders, and the Roman soldiers. They are mocking him. They are spitting on him. They are singing Lamech's song of hatred, exercising the ultimate expression of human violence against the innocent Son of God. If ever there was a moment for 77-fold vengeance, this is it. With one single thought, Jesus could have summoned legions of angels. He could have ripped the sky open. He could have executed the justice Lamech demanded and wiped his tormentors from the face of the earth. Instead, watch what happens. This is the climax. This is the ultimate theological reversal of human history. Jesus draws an agonizing, shallow breath into his crushed lungs. He looks down at the men who tore his flesh. And he does not invoke Lamech. He does not demand balance. He does not keep score. He cries out, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Do you see what Jesus did on that cross? He did not just preach 70 times 7, he became it. He absorbed the full, accumulated velocity of human vengeance, all the rage, all the bloodshed, all the bitterness from Lamech to the end of time, directly into his own bleeding body. He let the cycle of revenge kill him so that he could kill the cycle of revenge. When Jesus rose from the grave on the third day, he left Lamech's sword, buried forever in the empty tomb. The empire of vengeance is dead. The King of grace has won. Let us step down from that ancient hill outside Jerusalem and walk right into the quiet, heavy room where you are sitting today. Let us talk about the ledger. In our modern culture, we do not carry forged bronze swords like Lamech. We do not stand before our families and boast in poetic verse about slaughtering our enemies. But make no mistake, we have perfected a much quieter, much more devastating form of vengeance. We keep score. We carry an invisible, heavy ledger inside our chests. Every time someone slights us, betrays us, breaks a promise, or overlooks us, we make a meticulous entry in indelible ink. We replay the arguments in the shower. We stage elaborate, agonizing courtroom trials in our minds at 3 o'clock in the morning, trials where we are always the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury, and the person who destroyed our peace is finally forced to confess. We convince ourselves that holding on to that resentment is a form of self-defense. We believe our bitterness is a shield that will keep us from ever being hurt again, but it is not a shield, it is a cell. Holding on to a grudge is like drinking poison and praying that the person who hurt you will die. It does not punish them, it only consumes you from the inside out. And I need to tell you right now, with complete pastoral sincerity and zero judgment, your pain makes absolute sense. If you are carrying a massive, bitter ledger in your heart today, I know you did not pick it up for trivial reasons. Someone shattered your world. Maybe it was a spouse who looked you in the eye and lied, tearing apart the very fabric of your home. Maybe it was a parent who was supposed to shelter you, but instead inflicted deep, emotional wounds that still throb decades later. Maybe it was a trusted friend or even a spiritual leader who used you, manipulated your loyalty, and walked away without a single backward glance, without ever offering a hint of an apology. When you experience that level of profound betrayal, every natural instinct inside your human frame screams for balance. You want them to feel the crushing weight of what they did. You cling to your resentment because a quiet, terrified whisper tells you, if I forgive them, it means what they did didn't matter. If I let this go, they get away with it, they win, and I lose. It is exhausting, it is paralyzing, and your deep ache for justice is not evil. It is a reflection of the image of God inside you. You know instinctively that moral wrongs must be made right. But here is the liberating, actionable truth born directly from the secret of 70 times 7. Forgiveness is not surrender. It is liberation. To step into that freedom, we must completely dismantle the toxic, unbiblical lies that have kept so many sincere people trapped in spiritual bondage. Forgiveness does not mean what happened to you was okay. It does not mean you minimized the trauma or sweep the betrayal under the rug. And hear this clearly. Biblical forgiveness does not mean you are obligated to grant immediate trust, reconcile with an unrepentant abuser, or subject yourself to ongoing emotional or physical destruction. Boundaries are deeply biblical. You can forgive someone completely from the bottom of your heart, while choosing to walk away from them permanently. So, what is 70 times 7 forgiveness? It is the sovereign, courageous decision to resign from your position as the judge. It is taking that heavy, blood-stained ledger of wrongs, walking out of your dark mental courtroom and placing the entire case file into the scarred, nail-pierced hands of Jesus Christ. Why? Because he is the only righteous judge in the universe. He sees what they did, he knows the exact depth of your scars, and he promises that true justice will be served. When you forgive, you are not saying to your betrayer, "You are innocent." You are declaring to the enemy, "I refuse to let this offense control my future any longer." You do not forgive because the person who hurt you deserves your mercy. You forgive because Jesus Christ gave you his mercy and because you desperately need to be free. Put down the sword, drop the ledger. You cannot heal your broken heart while your hands are clenched into fists. Step out of Lamech's dark prison today and breathe the fresh, healing air of grace. Vengeance makes you a prisoner of your own past, but Christ's forgiveness is the key that unlocks the cell door. And the prisoner walking out into the light is you. When you choose grace over retaliation, you do not just break a cycle, you release a burden you were never meant to carry. If this message brought you peace today, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so we can continue uncovering the deep, life-changing truths of Scripture together. Share this video with someone who is fighting to let go of an old wound. Leave a comment below with the words "Grace wins" to remind everyone reading that love is always stronger than betrayal. Keep us in your prayers as we continue this mission. God bless you, and we will see you in the next video.